fixing my rusted Jeep Gladiator bumper, the knockoff bumper. Well, good afternoon everybody, and welcome back to Rob Motive JT. Real quick, if you haven't before, make sure you smash that subscribe button and click that notification bell so that you don't miss out on any upcoming videos. So, quick little recap for you. I have this piece. This is actually the winch cover. It goes right here in this open spot now. And it had started to rust. It actually had several bubbles across the top here where water had gotten underneath and was starting to force the finish or the paint off. Pretty subpar job as far as the finish on the paint from the manufacturer, in my opinion. But it is the knockoff cheapo 3-piece Rubicon bumper, so I guess you get what you pay for. So what I decided to do, I took this piece off. Fortunately, it comes off. I sanded it somewhat. I didn't get everything off, but enough I think that it's fine. And I repainted it. Several coats of paint as well as primer. And now we're going to put it back on. But I still have one other problem. And I'll pull you off the tripod. I'll show you what I'm talking about. All right, here's my other problem. You can see there is rust right around where the screws go in. Even a little bit right there. These three actually look pretty good. So they got those three right. This one's okay, and then a little bit of surface rust here and a little bit more here. So before I go ahead and slap that piece back on, I'm gonna go ahead and clean these up. I think I'm gonna hit it with just a little bit of sandpaper just to get the rust off, and then I'm gonna put some black paint over it to cover it up. I'm not gonna leave it dry very long, and then I'm gonna put the top or the big piece back on. You're not going to see anything, so it doesn't have to be perfect. As long as I stay inside of the outline that you can see here, I should be okay. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. I'll come back on and show you the result, and then we'll get this refinished piece back on. One thing I wanted to show you, of course, nothing is quite as easy as it seems. It got worse. Once I started to sand this area, there was a bunch of bubbled paint, as you can see. And it all flaked off, so I sanded obviously a bigger area, but notice everything is within this little square here for the most part. You'll never see that area. And then around this bolt hole. And then over here, we have the same thing. I do still see a little rust there I got to take care of. But fortunately, it's all pretty much just surface rust. So I'm going to go ahead and get it painted up, and then I'll show you what it looks like when I'm done. We've got it all painted up, and from afar it doesn't look too bad. I mean, it just looks like an outline, but when you get closer you can see it doesn't match perfectly, but that's okay because it's going to be hidden. By the way, this little area you see here, those were rather a couple of chip marks. I just lightly dabbed them over. You still shouldn't be able to see it, I don't think. And then over here it wasn't quite as bad, so I just really tried to paint the area that was. I think it came out pretty good. Again, it's going to be hidden. So now we have to put this piece back on first, and then we put the bar back on that's over there. So you have these little clasps that the screws actually go into. I've got those all put back on. They just slip on. And then the bar itself will slide underneath, and then we'll put the bolts back through these little clasps, if you will. That'll hold it on, and then like I said, we'll get the bar on next. All right, to tighten these down, you need a T30 Torx bit and the screws, or bolts, I guess. So let's go ahead and get this into position. Hopefully I can do this without scraping it up. That's the general idea. So it just fits underneath, like so. And we'll hit one right here in the middle, I guess. Just to kind of hold it in there a little bit while I tighten everything else up. Okay, that gets the centerpiece back on. Gotta say, looks pretty darn good to me. Now we have to get the bar back on. Takes that same T30 bit, and then there is a bolt on the bottom. That's a 12 millimeter. So, should just be able to stick the bolt down through there. This is not complicated. And then the washer and the nut. That could be a little cumbersome, but I think there's room under there, and I can actually fit 2 fingers, so that's always good. One thing about the fit on this, you really do have to torque it down because it wants to sit on that bolt underneath, so you got to kind of torque it a bit to get it flat. Again, another little design issue, I think, with the quality of it. Shouldn't be that way. All right, got it all put back together. Everything is done. It's a pretty simple project. I mean, taking this stuff apart is really easy. But let's take a look. I am pretty happy with it. The match of the paint came out really well. I did end up using a matte black paint. And I gotta say, I would challenge you to tell the difference between what I did here and what the original dirty, albeit, color of the bumper is. It came out really, really well. Now, I mentioned before that these edges did not sit well. You really have to crank on them just to pull it down. They do pull down, so it's not a big deal. And by the way, you can see here the difference in the paint a little bit and the texture. That's not rust or anything. It's just where I kind of touched up a little bit. And that, it turns out, is the biggest area that you can see anything on. Otherwise, coverage for where I did paint is complete. You can't see any of the areas that I painted underneath the edges of the bar, so that came out really well. I did touch up the hardware. A lot of this hardware was faded, starting to oxidize, particularly in the middle areas here where I actually stuck the Torx bit in to tighten them up. It always chips out. The paint always chips out and gets scratched when you do that. So I just hit them all with paint. Came out pretty well. Just kind of freshened the whole bumper up, actually. So anyway, that is the culmination of fixing my rusted Jeep Gladiator bumper. Leave a comment. Let me know what you think. Should I have replaced it or just spent, I don't know, maybe $10 on a can of paint to have it come out like it did? I think I made the right choice. Leave a comment. Let me know what you think. Also, real quick, if you didn't in the beginning, make sure to hit that subscribe button and smash that notification bell so that you don't miss out on any upcoming videos. I do have 2 additional channels. Rob Motive, all about my 2021 Toyota Tacoma, and Rob Motive FST, all about full-size trucks. Check them out, and if you're interested, why not subscribe? Thanks for watching. Stay safe out there. Bye.